Well, bushfire season has officially started, and within the past few days, New South Wales residents have been urged to prepare now as the target for hazard reduction burns have fallen short.
As a nation, we've seen and lived through some of the most horrific natural disasters, but first responders could be getting a helping hand with high-tech advancements, changing the way we track and fight fires. For more, we welcome back to future forecaster and author Michael McQueen. Nice to see you, mate.
Good morning.
Hi, Michael.
The Black Summer bushfires of 2019-2020 saw a decline in 000 calls, but an uptake in social media posts, right?
Yeah.
Lots of people leaning into social media for help and advice. How has this new technology worked with us and inspired us?
Yeah, well, we spend less time talking on our phones, and social media is what we're doing there. So what's cool is an Australian company has developed this world-first platform called Athena, and so the Rural Fire Service here in New South Wales now use this. It doesn't just have all the AI clever modelling stuff, it also can monitor social media feeds. So if you post that you've seen some smoke or a fire, and enough other people post on social media in your area that there's been that triggers the warning for them to start to mobilise to fight the fire.
Athena used to be a star woman, now it's an app.
Now it's an app.
It's an app, there you
Incredibly
go.
clever. World's
She's moving with the times.
Yes, indeed.
Pivoting.
Scientists from the University of South Australia are getting closer to detecting bushfires in record time.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's one thing to have 000 or social media if someone's there to watch a fire start. What if there's no one there? And this is where things get interesting. So at the moment, they're developing satellites, a whole network of satellites that can identify fires at the very first moment they start based on smoke they identify from space.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. Because typically they use like really clever sensors that identify heat signals that there's a fire there, but the fire has to get hot enough for those to be triggered. By that point, it can sometimes be too late. So these satellites pick it up 500 times faster than the traditional ways we've identified fire, so much better from a prevention perspective.
Imagine all the satellites over Snoop Dogg's house going, what's going on down there? Not quite out of space, but we're talking about in the skies with drones, right? A lot of good technology around, and there's talk about them being deployed for bushfires. It sounds strange that that's not in play already, because they're readily available and they're great technology.
But it sort of is. So they've been using drones in a limited way, but they're getting a lot more clever. And so one of the things we're seeing with drones now, you've got onboard infrared technology, thermal imaging on the drone itself. So there's a company called Unleash that are doing the most clever stuff in this space. But also now the drones can go further and into more remote areas because they're also connecting to satellites, so the Starlink satellite network, so they can stay online and in real time give feedback in ways they couldn't do even 2 or 3 years ago.
So the drones are detecting heat.
Yeah.
I saw a little boy, a 3-year-old, got lost in a cornfield.
Yeah.
And they used a drone to detect the heat of his body, and they've discovered him.
How cool is that?
So the same sort of technology. Researchers at Stanford Engineering have developed a gel.
Yeah.
What is this gel? That could keep buildings from burning?
Yeah, so it's a polymer-based gel, and it's interesting. So the
like
technique...
something from Ghostbusters.
It sounds like that, doesn't it? It also looks like that. So basically what it does is it's like a protective shield you can spray onto buildings or built structures, and it's the same technique as you use in sanitary pads and nappies or diapers. So it soaks up water and creates this film around the building to protect it from flames. The problem is the traditional ones they've used for the last few years tend to evaporate by the time the fire gets there. This new one lasts 5 times longer, and once it evaporates, it leaves this silica film around the building that also protects it from heat. So this is significantly better than anything we've used for the last few years.
And is that something you're applying at bushfire season or at the build of the house?
Yeah, so if you're in like the firing line of like a blaze that's coming towards you, you can spray the house and then hose it off essentially afterwards.
Gee, you'd need a lot of it though, wouldn't you?
You would, yeah.
OK, Miss Big House. Some of us would need less, but if you've got the big house, then fine. Virtual reality is changing the way firefighters train for emergencies now too. Yeah,
we think of VR often as entertainment or gaming, but for training emergency services, it's incredibly cool. And we've used it for a couple of years now, but it's getting a lot more advanced. So now they're developing these suits that actually create heat. So while you've got the VR headset on, it actually creates the heat that would be the same as if you were in a fire situation. But also these special hoses that as you turn the hose on, and it's like a virtual hose, you get the same kickback, that same haptic response as if it was a real hose.
Yeah, right.
And the reason it matters is the more lifelike it is, the more that becomes essentially muscle memory. So when you're in the environment, it's valuable.
It's really hard to train for real time on that.
Yeah, and desensitise a little bit so you get used to it. Wow.
Exactly, yeah. Very cool.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Michael.
Good to see you, mate.
You can get more from Michael McQueen with his latest book, all things fabulous like that. It's called MindStuck, and it's out now.
You might only be able to get to the first 4 floors of your house with that gel. We're back after this. What about the top 4 floors?